When in a family everything is monotonous and boring, something can happen that completely turns everyone's life upside down. The husband is always at work, and the wife does not get enough attention from her spouse. She finds this attention from another man and continues to socialize to enjoy the time as much as possible. Her life becomes fuller, but at some point everything can stop. If you watch this video to the end, you will know what can be a tumultuous life of a beautiful wife. This is Emily Recaps. Enjoy the video. The story begins with the heroine getting Charlie ready for school and chatting with her husband about investments. Outside, bad weather is brewing. Edward suggests that his wife stay home today. However, Connie already has a lot of things planned for the day. She hurries to catch the train to get to the city center. After buying everything she needs for the holiday, Connie tries unsuccessfully to hail a cab. The wind carries mountains of trash through the streets, obstructing her view. A woman knocks down a young man. Paul Martel is an avid bookseller and lives across the street. After picking up the items scattered on the ground, the man notices the abrasions on Connie's legs and offers to use the first aid kit at his house. The couple goes upstairs. The heroine is struck by the interior of the apartment, which is littered with books and sculptures. While Paul makes tea, Constance secludes herself in the restroom to tidy up. The man talks about himself and scrutinizes the guest, who is on the phone with her son. The woman is about to go home, but Paul suggests she take a book with her. Connie is hesitant at first, but still decides to accept the gift from the stranger. With words, he controls the heroine's movements, directing the woman to the shelf with a certain book, and they together read a quote from it. At home, Connie recounts her adventure, her son bringing a camera to take pictures of the woman's battered knees for a school project. These photos are reviewed by Edward when he comes home from work. The son tells his father about what happened to his mom during the day. Connie completes the story by telling him about the stranger who helped her treat the abrasions. The man offers to thank the boy with a bottle of wine. In the evening, Constance appears in front of her husband in fancy lingerie. Edward shoots her with a video camera saying that his wife is very beautiful. She wants to get closer to her husband, but her son prevents them from getting active. In the morning, the woman collects the boy for school. Left alone, Connie reads the book that Paul gave her. The heroine finds a note with his phone number. The girl goes to the city again. At the central station, she decides to call the bookseller to thank him for his help, and he invites the woman for coffee. The man is glad to have a guest and shows her his treasures. It turns out that Connie knows French. Paul asks her a provocative question in his native language. He then helps the woman take off her coat and makes coffee for them. The guest is interested in a Braille book. The man helps her better understand the text by touching the pages of the book with her hands sensually. The woman is both flattered and embarrassed by the guy's attention, so she decides to leave. On the way home, Connie experiences guilt and buys a gift for her husband. She arrives at his office to present him with a sweater. The couple embraces, but their idyll is interrupted by a phone call. While the man is dealing with work issues, Connie looks at the family photos on his desk. This puts even more pressure on her feelings of guilt. In the evening, the woman thinks about Paul, not noticing how her husband helped her clean up after dinner. Edward sees his wife's condition, but writes it off as the hassle of organizing the party. The next day, Connie comes to visit a new friend with cupcakes and notes the guy's good taste in music. He invites her to a dance, during which he gives Connie compliments that make the woman melt. The couple's movements become more and more sensual. Suddenly, the heroine realizes that her act is wrong and is about to leave, but the guy pulls her to him, starting to kiss her hotly. On the way home, the woman remembers what a hot man Paul turned out to be. The couple did gymnastics on his books. Connie had to try hard to let go of the shame, but now she feels guilty again in front of her family. She decides to take a walk to get her thoughts in order. In the parking lot, Edward meets Bob. They talk about the kids and Charles's upcoming birthday. The man is surprised. Connie hasn't talked to her friend about the school auction yet. In the evening, the man finishes his business, asking Connie how her day went. She answers reluctantly. Then Ed asks if his wife loves him because he feels silly. Days go by. Ed is unaware of his woman's parallel life. While the man devotes time to his son, Connie chats with her friend. Sometimes she reads the book Paul gave her and finds a place to warm her hands while reminiscing about the guy. The couple begins to see each other more often to study each other more deeply. One day, the woman stayed at Paul's house for the whole day to maximize their time together. They went out for lunch at a cafe. At the same time, Ed's employee had lunch in the cafe, who recognized the boss's wife. In the evening, the heroine lounged in the bathtub, looking at herself. The woman found a drawing on her thigh, left as a memento by a friend, and began to persistently rub it with a sponge. She didn't notice her husband entering the room. Edward handed Connie a glass of drink and decided to keep her company. He wanted to make his wife feel good and started rubbing her feet, but the woman was not in the mood. When her husband wanted to get active, she left him alone in the bathroom. Going to work, Ed invited his wife to lunch, but she found reasons to refuse to meet him. The man was bothered by the lack of intimacy between them. Also, he noticed the revealing outfit his wife was going to wear today. Upon arriving at the office, the man checked to see if his wife was indeed signed up at the salon. Edward wondered what Connie was really doing. The woman was in a hurry to meet a friend. Connie met Tracy and Sally in the driveway. The women invited her for coffee, and she couldn't refuse. The heroine called her friend to tell him about the situation. When the man came to the cafe, Connie went to wash her hands. Paul was already waiting for the woman in the restroom and relieved her tension. At the same time, the friends were discussing Connie, and when she returned from the restroom, they switched to discussing the handsome man at the bar. Tracy admitted to her friends that she had once cheated on her husband and regretted it. Connie thought about her acquaintance's words and later talked to her boyfriend about it. But Paul didn't want to talk. He only wanted one thing from the woman. He convinced Connie to go private right away. At the office, Edward had a confrontation with Bill. The aggrieved man had hinted to him that there was trouble in the boss's family. In the evening, Ed decided to meet with a private investigator, and early in the morning he left on a business trip. While her husband was dealing with work issues, Connie bought new lingerie and pleased her new friend with it. The detective took photos when the couple went to the movies. After the raucous entertainment, the woman lost track of time and did not pick up her son from school on time. The realization upset Connie and she sobbed all evening. The detective provided Edward with pictures of the woman with her new friend and detailed information about the guy. After stocking up on groceries, Connie decided to go talk to Paul. It was raining heavily and the woman thought she saw her friend rushing to the bookstore. She left the car and followed the guy and caught him between the racks with a new girl. The couple went to Paul's apartment to argue. The quarrel turned into a stormy reconciliation right on the landing. Edward decided to visit his wife's new acquaintance and get to know Paul better. The men decided to have a drink and talk. Ed wanted to know how the guy met Connie and how their meetings were going. At the guy's bedside, the man discovered a Christmas balloon that was dear to Edward. The man could not bear the betrayal of his wife. In a state of passion, he hit Paul. When Ed realized what he had done, it was too late. While he was hiding his presence in the apartment, Connie left a message on the guy's answering machine. She wanted to end their relationship. Coming downstairs with a large rug, Edward got stuck in the elevator and barely made it through the situation. He put the load in the trunk and drove to a children's matinee where his wife and son were. The woman noticed that her husband was nervous and decided to calm him down. She was enjoying the performance in which their child participated. After the event, Ed was going to take his son home, but an acquaintance crashed into the trunk of his car, almost revealing the man's secret. After putting Charles to bed, Edward went to the dump to throw away the old carpet. He then gave the car and himself a good wash. In the morning, the man was distracted and wore shoes from different pairs of shoes. Connie noticed that the husband had not slept at night and did not look well. On the way to work, the man worried about his secret again. In the afternoon, detectives from New York City arrived at the Sumner home and questioned the woman about the boyfriend. For dinner, the family went to a pizza place, and Charles told his father about the policeman's visit. Edward wanted to know what Connie had to do with the missing man, but the woman remained silent. Just a week and a half later, a rug was discovered in the landfill. The detectives visited the family again. Connie was nervous and lied about meeting Martel. Her husband confirmed her words and escorted the cops out. The next day, the woman picked up her dry cleaning. In Edward's jacket, she found photographs that a private investigator had given to the man. That evening, the couple had friends over. Connie noticed the balloon she had given Paul. When the guests left, the woman began to ask her husband about what happened with the bookseller. The couple had a heated argument, and Ed confessed to his wife that he was involved in Martel's disappearance. In the morning, the family was spending time together. When they heard a police siren, the couple looked over at each other. The woman held the very balloon in her hands and accidentally found a note from her husband in it. Edward loved Constance very much, and now she realized it. At night, Connie burned the pictures, thinking about the fact that on the day they met Paul, she could have just caught a cab. Maybe then their lives wouldn't have been ruined. Edward hugged his wife and said he was going to confess to the murder, but Connie forbade him. The family attended the school auction. Right in the middle of the hall, the couple could not resist temptation and enjoyed themselves. On their way home, they stopped at the police station. The woman confessed her love for her husband and suggested they drop everything to go to Mexico. 11 years of marriage became a critical mark in the lives of the heroes of the movie Unfaithful 2002. They wanted a change, but not all changes are for the better. Write in the comments, how would you feel about cheating on a loved one? Would you want to go on a trip with him after all this? See you in the next retellings.